Hello and welcome to this edition of the Time with Hime podcast. I'm your host, Lynn Cordes, joined by...
And I'm Kevin Hime, the superintendent of Lawton Schools.
That's right, and today it is beautiful. We did miss our episode yesterday because we were out and about taking care of some events and tours.
We'll talk about that later.
That's right.
October.
Already, October
Wow.
3rd, yay.
Kind of starts downhill for the rest of 2023 as a calendar year, and the school year moves fast. So parents, make sure you're looking at your school calendars and keeping up with your dates. We got a lot going on next week, fall break. And as most of you know, but be sure and look at your calendar, we do take the full week because we used to take the Monday, which is Columbus Day or Indigenous People Day, depending on who you're talking to. And then Thursday and Friday was always fall break. And Wednesday, a lot of people use it for a parent-teacher day. So we just combined them all and take the full week.
Yes, sir. And it says, and speaking of parent-teacher conferences, our last cycle of parent-teacher conferences is this week for our high school.
Yep.
So we're
rolling right through. And again, we keep them separate. So watch your calendar and make sure you attend.
And now, speaking of October, we're finishing up collecting some of our forms for the district and federal.
And, you know, one thing we talk about with that, we had this conversation the other day, is why are we so pushy or so emphasize so much that you collect those forms? Well, if you watched our board member meeting or saw Facebook, collecting the forms adds weights, and we get paid by our weights. And the weights gives the district more money, and it allows the board to do good things. And one thing they were able to do Thursday night, they approved a Christmas stipend for certified people of $2,500 and support people of $1,750. So again, a big shout out to the Lawton Board of Education, $2,500 for all of our certified people that are full-time, and $1,750 to our support people that are full-time. So that'll be a nice Christmas bonus stipend for those people. But again, we make that happen because our teachers and our staff work really hard to collect the forms and get our kids, get all the paperwork done, so we get the money that we're due from the federal government and the state. And again, it allows us to have that revenue source to fund those bonuses.
And it creates more opportunities and pathways, resources, and opportunities for our kids to participate in potentially opportunities they wouldn't have had before.
Sure, that's how we fund the LRC and some of the other things we do, some of the things we're doing here. So just the forms that matter the most, free and reduced lunch form. If you haven't filled one of those out, make sure you fill one out. If they send and ask you to fill another one out, please do. A lot of times through paperwork, students end up getting charged because we didn't have one on file, so they'll send one home, and if you'll go ahead and get one filled out and you qualify, we'll take away all the charges because, again, of the paperwork part of it and just getting it all done by October 1st. We're through October. The other one is the home language survey is very important as well, and those should be out and done. And then the impact aid forms will be coming soon. And so, again, there's a lot of those different forms we get paid by, but just please don't get frustrated if you feel like you're filling out your third free and reduced. Hopefully we're not doing that, but it's possible with 14,000 students that somehow one got missed or didn't get recorded where somebody couldn't read exactly what the form said.
Well, and with the free and reduced lunch forms, the other thing for our families to know, if a financial status changes within the year, it's not a one-time application.
No, and you know, actually on there, when you fill out your income, you can do it a lot of different ways. So sometimes different, you know, if people lose their jobs or change jobs, and so they can fill it out based upon a weekly or a monthly or an annual. So that can change your status. And so not only do your kids get to eat free, we get more funding if your kids qualify for free and reduced lunch.
Now, we're talking about at the very beginning of the show that we were out and about and yesterday and checking out some things, which brings us to this topic of workforce development.
You know, it's a new thing in education that we started talking about, and we had that conversation today. You know, we've always talked about 100% graduation. That's non-negotiable for us. All means all. We want every student to walk across the stage. And we talked about how we want them to walk across the stage. And we've kind of narrowed that down to the 3 E's. So we want every child to walk across the stage enrolled. That means enrolled in college or enrolling in a career program or another degree or certification to improve their employment or their employability. We want them to either be enrolled or enlisted in the military or other service group, or employed. Well, the one we really haven't defined is employed. And when you look at it, although we're trying to lower the employed and increase the enlisted and enrolled number, the employed number is probably about 50% of our student body that we need to walk across the stage employable. So we've got to have that discussion of how do we define employed and how do we create better employment opportunities with higher wages for our students as they walk across the stage. Therefore, the term workforce development. So we went to Union Public Schools to see how they're doing it because they've been working at this for 4 or 5 years, and just see some of the things and what they're doing. And we've talked to Oklahoma City, and one thing a lot of them are doing is like Union, they've partnered with their local home builders association, and then they're doing construction trades and introducing the students to some construction and some basic things so that their employer, because the home builders association, they need more electricians, more carpenters, more masons. And so we got to start having that discussion, and we'll work with our local career tech as well about how we get students training in those areas, and so then they, when you talk to Oklahoma City, they're working with Boeing. We'd work with Goodyear, who's one of our biggest employers. We know we have this cobalt plant coming today. How do we work with these different things? How do we get with the FISTA? How do we work with our businesses and create that model where we're creating an education plan where students start as sophomores or freshmen, and you say, okay, if you follow this pathway when you graduate from high school, we will have a good job for you waiting, and then it's just up to you to take that job, be a good employee. And that includes some other things. What are soft skills? Well, you always hear soft skills. That's just to be able to talk to people and have customer service, filling out a resume and an application. And some of those things we hope to improve for the employed as we move forward as a district.
And what's been great to see out in the community and across the state is the pipeline that happens from our students before they graduate up into graduation, where they know they have that path and a direct job.
Yes.
A lot of times they're not, just, okay, I'll figure it out after college or my senior year, but there's a dedicated pathway for our veterinarians, our welders, our plumbers, and working in collaboration with the tech center, but even with the businesses themselves, having those individuals come and work with our students just as much.
Yeah, we always talk about, 6, 8 years ago, whenever I started talking about career ready and speaking, one of the stats you run across is our kids that are, say, freshmen now, 65% of the jobs that they're going to hold don't even exist today. Well, so what do they go to college to be if the job doesn't exist? Colleges are, college is still a lot like it when we went. So how do we make them more employable for the jobs that don't exist? And that's the discussion we want to have is how we create better opportunities for them. So if they choose employed when they walk across the stage, we can up their income potential so that they can have a better living when they walk across the stage.
And so for that, our community members that are watching, if you're interested in partnering and sharing and mentoring and being a part of that workforce development
let us know,
cohort.
especially our business partners and things, because we're going to start. I know Dr. James and Mr. Brown, our Ed Services and Operations, because Dr. James works with our curriculum. They're going to work together, and we're going to have our own staff. We talked about it in our strategic plan. How do we make that work with our strategic plan? So it's going to be it'll be fast moving. It'll be something we would like to look at, even some of the pieces this year. I mean, one of the things they talked about that they do at Union, because it's one thing we'd like to do is go to other schools and see what they do, is they have an enrollment fair, kind of like a career fair, but they let their 8th graders and 9th graders, they set it up and start talking to them. What pathway do you want to choose? These are the opportunities you have at this school. So where do you want to go? What do you need to take to get there? And start having that as they look at their career, but have a pathway so they can see the different classes we offer. Because we talk a lot about, we offer free college, but sometimes free doesn't get free. And so even at Union, another thing we saw they had, it was called EDGE, and that means?
Earn a degree, graduate early with a degree.
From college.
From college, not from the high school.
So their ideal is they sign up 8th graders and eighth graders apply and they sign them up, and if they get in the program, they graduate high school with an associate's degree. Well, we've talked about how we get more and more hours for our students, and so we may look at something like that. How do we create that pathway where we get them in a cohort where they're working together, and we have 40 of this year's freshmen sign up next year as sophomores and the goal is we create that opportunity and we make sure we carve out time in their schedule the next 3 years where they can get 60 hours of college classes before they graduate.
Now remind our families, Mr. Hime, because sometimes they don't always get to hear it, but no longer do we have to just count on the ACT score for college entry.
Yeah, that's new this year. Any student with a 3.0 that's a sophomore or above can now be part of Cameron, start taking college classes. And the other thing I think our families sometimes don't realize that the college classes also count for high school credit. So if you take American history since 1876 after 1876, excuse me, if you take American history after 1876 at college, you don't have to take American history. You don't take American history or U.S. history at high school. If you take a government class at college, it takes the place of your high school government class. And there's some others that do that. So part of the issue is we can take it at college and get dual credit or credit. We call it concurrent, but we're getting two credit. We're getting a high school credit and a college credit for it. So that's what we're trying to do there. And then the other thing, it's free is free. So it's lined up where all of our kids can take the classes free. So we're going to work hard to get that communication straighter. We offer them at the LRC. We offer them at Cameron where some students go on campus. I know we have some that take online and other ways that they take those classes. So again, communication is the key. We got to get that information out to our families and work with our counselors to make sure everybody understands what we have to offer and continuing to increase those opportunities for our students.
And the free does include the tuition, the books and the fees that
tuition.
Right.
Everything.
And the tuition. Right. Most of them, they go, oh, you're paying the fees and the books. We do at Lawton Public Schools.
Yes, a lot of people say free tuition, but then the parents have to pay the fees and get books.
Right.
That's not true with us. We have other donations and entities that work with us on those fees, and then we use the books through our own textbook fund, and so you're just checking it out like you do your history book or your English book. So very excited about that.
We are. Lots of great things to come, and it will happen, like you said, very fast when everything falls in.
We've got our ag mech shop getting built. We know we can put some career things in there. We have the old gym beside it. We've talked about different things we can do there. And so it's going to be a collaborative to see what we can offer and work with our local businesses and our local community to create work-ready students that are ready to go into the workforce when they graduate high school, because that's a choice they made. That's the opportunity they want. So we're excited about that.
And another thing, as a reminder, we're growing pathways for our students, but as well for our staff. Tomorrow is continuous PD.
Yes, our continuous PD is tomorrow. Got a full day lineup, and the next one after that will be on November 1st. So we're trying to work to get those all lined out. Isn't it amazing? We're going to be, boom, fall break, we won't have one. So today's the 3rd. Our next podcast will be the 16th, if that Monday works. And then we're going to look up and it's going to be November.
And then December, and then it's going to be.
Yeah, then we're back into a new year.
We're not wishing
it's going to be
away.
fast. So,
yes.
So I do say this to senior parents and seniors. Hey, grab a hold. The ride's always fast for seniors. Enjoy your senior year as a parent and a student. And hopefully we're doing those things because we got, what's the big senior activity the seniors love this week?
Homecoming.
Homecoming.
For Lawton High and MacArthur.
We have 2 homecomings
Yay.
this week. Big activities. Homecoming was a big deal in high school. Your early years, but your senior year, it was a huge deal.
Special.
So just cherish the memories. And if you are a senior and you don't feel you meet the employed, enlisted, or enrolled, get with us. And we need to work, make sure you get with your counselor and your career advisors and make ssure we work towards you getting that.
We're excited about all the great opportunities.
Parents, you have questions?
Yes.
info@lawtonps.org, info@lawtonps.org. And then our webpage is just lawtonps.org. And again, we're looking, for the most part, at least half of our podcasts from here on out, we'll have students and other people on it.
Yes.
And that's always our goal.
And that's it, right. It was a little different with us having an off day, but we're excited because next time we will have some students and guests. I'm
There we
excited
go.
to do that. But until then, Mr. Hime, thank you for your time. If you have not already liked and subscribed to our social media pages and YouTube channel, please do that because we have a lot of great things in there. Yesterday, before we go, one shout out to our custodians. It was Custodian Appreciation Day, so we
have great custodians in this district.
Yes.
Our buildings look good.
And they do an amazing job, and our students love them. So for you guys out there, thank you for what you do each day. We were glad to celebrate you, and we hope it was a great one. Until, not next week, but the week after, you guys be well, stay safe.
Enjoy fall break.
Yes, make positive impacts. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.